It's mailbag time here on the Raiders Report. You guys ask the questions. I answer them to the best of my ability. Friendly reminder that today's show was filmed on September 12th. We go live for every single Thursday night football game this season. So if you're just sitting around watching Thursday night football and you missed this, tune in next week because we're going to be live for it. The way that you're going to see these questions come in, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. I know Mount Raider more. I know the Silver and Black Hills have asked for more mailbags. And now that Thursday night football is back, we're going to do them every single Thursday night football. I got Raider Prime. What's up, brother? If we can get Bryce Young, can he go back to his Heisman form? I would say this right now. If the Carolina Panthers, I think, are anywhere in the top 5 picks, I think if Carolina is anywhere in the top 5 picks, and if the Raiders are a team that actually do play a lot better than maybe what some other people out there, let's say you're picking again from 13 up, I think that Carolina would consider doing a trade very similar to like what Chicago did this past season with Justin Fields. And I know that some people think that he's totally washed up. I don't know if that's necessarily the case in terms of Young. Again, he's only his second year in the NFL. I'll tell you this right now, though, if Carolina said, hey, 4th round pick, Bryce Young is yours, and if I'm the Raiders and I'm picking at 13, 14 or up, I would consider it. I think a lot of NFL teams would. Let's go to Noah Santana. What's up, bro? Trade, yay or nay? Devontae for Zay Flowers and a 2nd-round pick by the trade window. The only reason why I'm probably going to say no to this is, one, I think Zay Flowers is a really talented player, but he's not a true number 1. I think if Davante Adams went to Baltimore, I think that's actually not a great fit for Tay just because that's a team that wants a little bit more speed on the outside. I know Davante has been maybe not putting up the numbers that we're accustomed to, but that's because he hasn't had a quarterback or an offensive coordinator or a head coach. He's got Antonio Pierce, still need an offensive-minded guy that can get him the football, but no, I'm not. I know you love Zay Flowers. I'm going to say no to this one, though. Let's go to Jeremy Slugs. I think you got a new person. What the Raiders' biggest problem now? I'd say the Raiders' biggest problem now, legitimately, Luke Getsy. I will still say it's quarterback. Your interior offensive line, I mean, all of the above there are probably the Raiders' biggest problems. Like, you could talk about, again, it's, if you have a bottom 5 QB in the NFL, that's an issue. If you have an offensive coordinator that has shown for multiple different teams that he's not a very good offensive coordinator, that's a problem. And then again, if you want to be a physical football team, not having that interior offensive line, all of those things are definitely major problems right now for the Raiders. But hey, let me hear it down below. What's the Raiders' biggest problem right now? And I know a lot of people are going to say Getsy, and I think that Getsy is a big problem, but I do honestly think if the Raiders had a quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers was pretty damn good with Getsy. Maybe not Rodgers now at 41, maybe a high-level top 12 quarterback. I think Getsy would look good with a high-level top 12 quarterback. The problem is they're not very easy to go out there and find. Let's go to Big Teddy J. If we fired the OC right now, who would be the perfect fit right now? I mean, you're not going to fire Getsy, and I know that the Raiders aren't going to fire Getsy right now. And realistically, if the Raiders were to make a change at the offensive coordinator position, I think it would be at the NFL trade deadline if they traded away Davante Adams. If the Raiders are miserable offensively, Davante was one of the big reasons why Getsy ended up getting hired. You trade away Davante, then I think that opens the door for them potentially firing Getsy. But you're not going to have somebody that you're going to be able to promote, I think, on that offensive side of the football. Like, I don't believe in Rich Scangarillo. Cadillac Williams, the Raiders running back coach. Edgar, the wide receiver coach. Like, there's not a lot of great options. James Craig, maybe because he comes from the 49ers tree. Not a lot of great options, man. Let's go to Lord Body Bear. Rolly said you told him Dolphins were going to win. How did you get a 3-digit jersey? Now I want one with my area code. Oh, and of course, F. Tom Fumble Brady all day, every day. So I do think that the Dolphins are an interesting team at home. Like, the Dolphins are a team when they play at home, I actually do tend to bet on. But like Jeremy said, the Buffalo Bills have kind of had their number. Rolly's also the Dolphins host, so I was trying to make him feel good before the show went live. Yeah, this is going to go out after the game anyway. For the 3-digit jersey, I found a place that's able to make them. So, Buddy Bear, if you want to be able to get one, I can hook you up. And then F. Tom, fumble Brady. Let's go to Ray Lejean. What's up, man? How do you feel about Jacorian Bennett after week 1? I thought Jacorian played well. Like, Jacorian got tested a few times, was able to stand up, did a good job. I know that the Chargers don't have the best receiving core out there, but it's an interdivision game. It was a low-scoring game. It was a very high-pressure game from top to bottom. There was one play where I think it was early in the game. It was like 3rd down, threw the ball down the field. Jacorian did exactly what he did, swatted it out of the way. I was pretty encouraged from what I saw from Bennett week 1 against the Chargers. If you want to watch Raiders videos every day for free, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. We have put out a video every day on this channel for 4 straight years, and you're not always going to agree with everything that I say on every show. That I can guarantee you. You're probably going to get mad at me if the Raiders lose, and I'm venting. I'm a normal fan just like all of y'all, but if there's one thing I can promise you, I'm going to bring commitment to excellence every single day, every single week, because that's what Raider Nation deserves. Somebody who's going to be here each and every day for y'all. Let's go to Noah Turner. Go get Ben Johnson. I just don't know if Ben Johnson is... To me, Ben Johnson's probably going to get a head coaching gig. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of the best offensive coordinators right now in football, and there were reports last season that he was looking for like $15 million per year, which is a lot of money to go out and pay a head coach for somebody who really hasn't done it yet. But when you watch Ben Johnson's offense, I mean, he was one of my top OC candidates for the Raiders last season, and he said no to a lot of gigs out there. I think he really, truly wants to show people that he deserves a legit head coaching job out there. And Ben Johnson, the only way you go get Ben Johnson is if you're firing Antonio Pierce. And I don't think that the Raiders, any way in hell, are going to fire AP. You literally have to win 2 games or less, I think, is when the Raiders then would consider moving on from AP. Now, here's the one thing, Chuggs. I almost had to fire DirecTV Stream because of how mad I've been getting at them because I haven't been able to watch the shows, the games that I want to be able to get. And luckily, Rocket Money ended up helping me negotiate this deal with them, saving me a little bit of money next month. If anybody out there is just dealing with the exact same thing, go to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. That's rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Most people think that they're spending $80 on their subscriptions, when in reality the number is closer to $200. When you sign up for so many things like streaming services you used to watch one show, or maybe like a free trial for delivery that you don't use, it's easy to lose track of what you're paying for. And a lot of times, like, I'm not afraid to say this, you know what I mean? Like, I only have Alex and I have Chuck. If I had kids and I had a lot of other people that, quite frankly, depended on me financially, it would be kind of hard to, keep track of all that. With Rocket Money, you can view all of your subscriptions on one screen, which I do think is super helpful. You can stay on top of your upcoming bills. You can see how much money you're spending each month. That way it helps you save up a little bit more. Maybe you need to save money for, I don't know, a wedding. Maybe you got to save up money for a brand new car. Maybe you want to save up for a honeymoon, a trip somewhere. Rocket Money, let them cancel your unwanted subscriptions for you. So get started today. Go to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. That link's in your comments. It's in the description of today's show. Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring the Raiders Report. Let's go to more questions here on the show. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. I got Philip B. What's up, man? For my fantasy this week. Am I your fantasy? Should I start Keon Coleman for today's game? So again, Thursday Night Football. I'm not going to answer these questions. We're going to try to look ahead. I don't think Keon for DeAndre Swift or Rashad White or Ladd McConkey. It's a PPR league, and I can't decide who I want to start. I'm actually going to go with White in terms of a PPR league. Now, if you can start, I'm guessing this is in your flex position, I'm probably going to go with White just because, to me, that's the guy that I would count on just catching a lot more footballs. Let's go to the real crazy news. What are the chances of the Raiders signing or trading a player? If so, who would they trade for? I mean, the one player that I want the Raiders to go out and trade for is Azeez Ojulari, an edge rusher, and I know that the Raiders went out and got Caleb Von Chasen, and I agree with AP that there's some untapped potential there, but the Raiders were counting on Tyree Wilson and Malcolm Koonce, and both of those guys are not going to be playing this week against Baltimore. Quite frankly, I don't think either of those guys are playing for a few weeks. Malcolm can't play till week 5. Tyree, I think, is probably going to be out until a similar time like that. So go out, I would trade for Azeez Ojulari, give up a 5th-round pick for him, somebody who had 8 sacks when he was a rookie back in 2021 in a Patrick Graham defense. Let's go to Lil Stank. Should the Raiders bench Zamir White to start Madison and Laube? Oh, man. I'll tell you this. Lil Stank might have been the one in the bathroom before Chuggs and I went live on Thursday night. Should the Raiders bench Zamir White? No. I think what you're going to have to do is, if you were going before with a running back by committee, which the Raiders were, and let's say you were given 6 touches to Zamir to 4 for Alexander Madison, it's going to depend on the game. In a game where the Raiders are winning, and if Zamir's running the rock heavy, I think you keep Zeus in the game. If you're playing from behind or you're going up against a team that's going to bring some pressure like Baltimore, that's where I would put in Alexander Madison a little bit more. And last week I said, don't be surprised. I made a video, went out right on game day of players that could play a little bit better than what's expected. Madison was one of those guys because I knew the Chargers were going to try to bring some pressure. I would say right now, Madison and Zeus got to be very, very close to a 50-50 split in terms of touches. But that's also because the interior offensive line for the Raiders isn't as good, which is where Zeus dominates or plays his best, where a guy like Madison's more of that edge rusher, James Craig zone running scheme on the outside. Because you're asking this question, I'm going to guess that you're not 100% confident in Zeus. What's your confidence level in Zamir White? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1, you're not confident at all. 10, you have the utmost confidence in Zeus. For me personally, I'm at a 5. I know Zamir can be a good back. I also know Zeus can put the ball on the ground. And if Zamir's going to run the ball the way that he did in that second half of the game after that fumble, it's a lot lower. You got to give him his opportunities. Again, 441 rushing yards in his 5 games that he has started with the Raiders. That is second most all-time behind only Bo Jackson. Let's go to Vincenzo and all his peoples. Do you think that the Raiders should trade 5th-round pick for Azeez Ojulari? Yes. I think I already answered that one, but yes, I think it's somebody you've probably been watching some of my videos. Also, if I'm the Raiders, I'll pick up the phone. I'm going to give Hassan Reddick a call. Originally, I said no to Hassan Reddick because the hope was that you would use some of that money to be able to go out and pay Malcolm Kuntz. But the Raiders are sitting on a lot of money right now, and I think that you could be able to get Reddick for a much cheaper trade. Yeah, you'd have to pay him, but $21, $22 million. Let's go to Noah Santana. Say we are about 6-3. What's a position we can upgrade on offense by the trade deadline? I mean, if you're 6-3, okay? I mean, your biggest need right now is guard. Like, your biggest need is offensive guard. Maybe you consider switching up your center spot if you don't love what you've seen out of Andre James. I think also the Raiders going out and getting Jackson Powers-Johnson, and when you look at how Andre James' contract is structured, they can technically get out of it after 1 year. I would say guard. Jeremy looked at me and he goes, Russell Wilson. If you're 6-3, I don't think that you're going to add a quarterback personally, unless a certain QB just literally is like, I want the hell out. I'll say this, though, and I said it yesterday. Kirk Cousins is the name that I was going to bring up. Another name, because I keep getting asked about it, is, which I would say no to Deshaun Watson, but if Deshaun Watson got released, I think that people would ask me about it. 6-3, though, I'm just going to say your biggest weakness, which right now is offensive guard. Let's go to Weston the Tank. At what point will you be saying fire AP? I won't be saying it, man. There's not going to be a situation this season where I'm going to say fire AP because I don't think that the defense is ever going to play that bad where I have to say it. The Raiders' offense is going to be the Achilles heel to this team, and what Antonio Pierce did was he tried to invest in some coaches that he thought would have the ability to be able to execute that offense. If the Raiders' defense plays the way that it did, we should be able to win some games. And we got really, really unlucky last week, and that's just the truth. The Raiders aren't going to win football games when you turn the ball over, miss field goals, don't go for it on 4th down and 1, and turn the ball over on 4th down and 1. Like, you're not going to win games that way. And if the Raiders would have been able to score some points on that drive where Gardner threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, like imagine you're up, let's say, 10-3, 14-3. You get the ball to start that second half. It's a completely different ball game. So I know that I'm the first to get emotional during a game day. I get it. But you all get to see it because I'm a normal person, like I said, just like you. I'm not saying fire AP. Fire Luke Getsy? That's a different story. Justin G, what's up, man? Is Adams our only trade option as far as getting a decent QB? No, I don't think that. I mean, if you want to talk about like big trade chips, yes, you're probably going to get the most from Devontae Adams. The Raiders will never trade Max Crosby. The other option is Colton Miller, and I say that because Miller's got 2 years left on his deal. He's got $0 million guaranteed for the next 2 seasons, or this season he's got $0 million guaranteed, and then that following offseason he's got $0 million guaranteed. So if you're like the Raiders and you know that maybe you want to keep there Munford, DJ Glaze, and you can get a potential second-round pick, I think Colton Miller would be a name. I'm also going to say Andre James just because the Raiders did draft JPJ, and I think they did that because maybe they were concerned of maybe Andre wouldn't be able to fit in the scheme. They could put Jackson Powers Johnson out there in the future at center. Now, if you haven't already gotten your question on the show, I will do my best this weekend to also answer some more questions. You can always hit me up on IG and on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. And if you're not tuning into Thursday Night Football, then hey, you better start tuning into our Thursday Night Football watch parties. We have a lot of fun here. I know when you watch this video, it's going to be after Thursday night. But seriously, Thursday night shows might be outside of game time, might be my favorite shows here on the Raiders Report.